Hello and welcome to my course on AI automation powered by n8n. In today's lesson, I'm going to deep dive into the topic of Webhook Node. I'm going to talk about what is a webhook, how it is different from an API or API polling mechanism, and after this brief theory, we will deep dive into the n8n workspace where we'll go step by step on configuring a webhook node by implementing a simple workflow. However, in this simple workflow, I'm going to talk about how you can integrate Google Forms with external webhooks. Google Form does not provide you out of the box capability of integrating with webhooks. So in this tutorial, I'm going to deep dive into step-by-step process how you can configure your Google Form so that as soon as someone submits a Google Form, the webhook is notified so that you can integrate them into n8n workflows and trigger them to execute your business workflow. So let's start with what is a webhook. A webhook is a real-time data listener that triggers the n8n workflow as soon as data is received on it. Unlike APIs, webhook does not require you to keep on checking for data or data refreshes again and again. Rather, it reacts instantly as soon as the data arrives. So it is more like they push the data as soon as the event happens. Let me explain this concept in simple words or with a real world analogy. Something like, imagine you have placed an order of a product that you have been waiting to buy for a very long time. Now you are excited to know when it gets delivered to your doorstep. One way is that you keep on calling customer service, keep on messaging them, keep on chatting them. That's more like an API approach, that you are constantly checking, has my order arrived at my doorstep? You are going out and checking whether the order has arrived or the delivery box has arrived or not. So that's more like a polling mechanism, that you yourself are pulling the data towards you from these external actions like calling the customer service, chatting with them, going to the door, opening it and seeing if there is package delivered or not. All this is API polling mechanism. What it means is that it is allowing you to interface with them, get the data from them, but more like a pull mode, that you are pulling that data from them. They are not pushing the data to you. And in many scenarios, it can be very inefficient because you can see that you are wasting your time by checking with all these updates. I know you are excited about the product, but still you are wasting your time in checking for the updates. How about you are subscribed to the alert as soon as the package gets delivered? You are notified on your phone or with a call that the package has arrived. Now immediately go and get the product from your doorstep. That is more like a webhook. So webhook lets you react instantly to the new data instead of you requesting the new data again and again. Similarly, it lets your workflows react instantly to the new data instead of the workflows polling for the data and keep on executing further processing. So that's how using a webhook trigger in your business workflow will let your business workflow run instantly as soon as a new data has arrived, such as a form is submitted and now you want to process that form or react or send an email to that particular customer or message your respective teams to take some kind of an action based on the form that has been submitted. It could be a form, it could be an entry made to your CRM system or an ERP system, or it could be just a blog that got published on your website and there are some reactions that are coming in terms of comments that you don't like and you want to take that blog article down from your website. You might want to respond to a security incident where a webhook is watching as soon as security incident happens in your infrastructure. Could be a cloud infrastructure, and as soon as the event receives, you want to trigger some actions in your business workflow. All these are different examples where you want to react in your business, automate certain things based on an event that has happened instantly without checking whether that event happens or not. Because sometimes, for example, security event might not happen for years, but it might happen one day suddenly after 2 years. So it's an inefficient use of resources to keep polling via API and see whether the security incident happened or not. And it could be a delay as well, because polling requires you to wait and then check. Probably you are checking every second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 minutes, but still you are not close to real-time reaction. Webhook lets you do that. Now with this kind of solid theoretical knowledge, let's jump into the screen share and first configure our Google Forms so that it can react to Webhook Node. Alright, I am logged into my cloud instance of n8n workspace and we are in the n8n course folder. In this particular workflow, which was workflow 3 essential notes lesson, we have already covered a lot of essential notes. This is the last note that I'm going to cover in section 2 as a part of this essential notes to know lesson series. And what I'm going to do is, instead of using the workflow 3, I'm going to create a new workflow. So as a first step, I'll add the webhook trigger over here. So I'll search webhook. So you can see webhook trigger is over here. It gives us a test URL and it gives us a production URL. So this is the URL where it is going to listen for external event. And over here you see get is written. So get is coming from this HTTP methods. There are various types of methods that are available from HTTP. HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol. You don't need to get technical with it. For now, let's just keep an understanding on there are different types of HTTP methods. So get is to basically pull some kind of data, more like a get request. I want to get something. Post is I want to post something. I want to like submit a form. I want to post a record. I want to save something. So all these kinds of things are post requests, and deleting is generally used when you want to delete a record. However, the most common ones are get, where you use to get some kind of information, or it's a post. Here, because we want to receive data, so we will listen to the post one. So I'll just click on this. So now you can see the method has been changed. The URL that now the test URL is basically going to be the one that is going to listen for external system to send the data. And in our example, a Google form is going to send the data to this URL. And please note that right now it is test URL for testing out this entire workflow till the time we are satisfied that the workflow is working as expected. We are going to use this test URL. However, before you activate your workflow, that this workflow is ready to handle the production data, we have to switch over to the production URL. Then we will be using this production URL and configuring our external system to send the data over here. So for now, what we are going to use is the test URL. Respond wise, we want to respond immediately. We don't want any last node to finish, then it acts, or we do not want using a respond to webhook node. We are just using this webhook node as a trigger. So we'll keep all the rest of the configuration same. There is no authentication as well. So we'll keep the authentication to none too. And in order for this node to listen, what we have to do is listen for test event. So as soon as I click on it, it will start listening. So it is saying that you need to make a post request. So as soon as some event happens externally, the data needs to post it to this URL by that external service, which in our case right now is going to be Google Form. And in the next part of the lesson, I'm going to talk about how you need to configure your Google Form so that they can trigger this webhook. Let's go and check that out first and then come back to our workflow. So before moving away from our workspace, let's just save it with a name. So I'll say workflow 4 webhook lesson. Okay, so let's leave it like this. So it says saved. Now let's move on to the Google Forms. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Google Forms in my Safari. So I have opened up Safari browser in a private window so that my existing cookies and all does not conflict with it. I want to show you from the very first step how you need to configure it. So we'll be starting from scratch. So I've searched Google Forms in Google. So what we are going to do is, like, I think this is the one. Yep. So this is the one. I'm going to sign in. All right, so probably I'll use this. Okay, so I already have one form, which is for my book Ladakh Decoded. If you are interested in Himalayas travel, this is the book that you can order. I'll click on new form. Let's build a form where we want to extend invitations to various events that we will be holding in our organization. And if the user is registering for a non-event thing, then the email or message should go to our admin team. However, if the user is registering for some event, then basically the message should be sent to our event hosting team. So let's quickly configure that. So let's give it a title first, user. All right, so I'll just copy this and paste it over here. All right, it's done. So the first question we can ask your name, right? So then we can add another one, your email. Quickly we'll add another one. So the next question could be, are you planning to attend an event on GenAI Unplugged? Could be, the option could be yes, or the option could be, I'll add another option, at all. Okay, so yes, no, maybe. That's all we want. All right, all these are required ones. So let me configure this too. I think let's keep this form very simple because we want to keep our workflow simple and understand the concept of webhook rather than building a form. I'll copy this. So this is the form is unpublished. So before I have to publish it, let me publish this. So now I have published the form. So now this form is available anywhere. So I'll just copy it, and you can see that if I open my Chrome browser, let's go over here and click on this. So now we can see that our form is up and running over here. However, it is still not integrated to our n8n workflow. Although we have not built anything in our workflow, but still we want as soon as somebody answers all these questions, click on this submit. This data needs to be posted on our workflow so that we can process it through our business process, which is more like if somebody is interested in attending an event, the event team should get a notification, Slack notification. Whereas if they are not planning to attend an event, they are just registering on the website, maybe to attend a course or something like that, then basically an admin team should receive an email. But the problem over here is that Google Form does not let you integrate with the webhook directly. Like there is no direct method, there is no configuration. If I go back to my Safari browser, you can see there is no configuration over here where I can basically add some kind of a URL. Even in my settings as well, if I go over here, you can see there is nowhere that directly I can put that URL of my webhook trigger that I have copied, the test webhook URL, that I can paste it somewhere over here so that as soon as the form is submitted, the data goes over there. So we need to learn how to configure these Google Forms so that they can send the data to our webhook. So let's head over to our other browser window where we created this form. So I'll go back to my Safari browser. So you can see this is where we created this form. So what you have to do is, in order to configure Google Forms, you need to click this 3 ellipses over here, which is next to your profile icon, and click on this app script. So the moment I click on app scripts, it is going to open a editor where we can write some code. Here we are going to insert a piece of code. I already have that piece of code. So let me open my Sublime Text. So let me just copy this from here and let me just Control A and paste it over here. So this is the piece of code that we will need so that it can basically capture the response from the form as soon as someone submits it and then sends to a URL which we will configure over here. So this is the webhook URL that we are going to copy from our n8n workspace. Remember, the testing URL and the production URL. So once you are happy with the testing of your entire workflow, you will need to exchange this particular URL with the production URL so that your form gets tied to the production version of your n8n instance. For now, we are going to test it. So I'm going to go back and basically copy the test URL. So it was over here. So this was our webhook. So I'll just double click it, and this was a test URL. I'll just click on it. The URL is copied. Now I'll go back over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this and I'm going to paste this. The reference where I got this code is from a Medium article. I'm going to refer that article in the description of this video. You can read that article to get more details about how this code works, what it does, and there are few more settings left that we have to do so that the form starts working perfectly. Now I'm going to rename this project. So let's call it what? Invitation form or user registration form. And I'll rename this. So the form is renamed. I'm going to save this project. So again, it is saving to my drive over here. The next thing that we have to do is we have to come over here and set up a trigger. So as you can see, this is trigger. So I'll click on this. Again, I'll go back to dashboard. So over here, you can see I have this create new trigger. There is no trigger configured for now, as well as this button is also there, that is add trigger. So I'll just click on this create new trigger. And what I'm going to do is choose which function to run. We want on submit, choose which deployment to run, it is head, select the event source from form, and select event type not on open but on form submit. So that's pretty much the setting that you have to change over here. You have to click on save. So this way it is going to register the trigger now. So it is taking a little while. Alright, so it is asking me to basically authorize it, and the pop-up was blocked. So I'm going to click on it. This is going to authorize my drive to have this trigger configured. So that's why it is asking for the permission. So I'm going to give it the permission. So now it is showing me that Google has not verified this app. What you have to do is you have to click on advanced and then go over here, go to user registration form. What this means is that this user registration form app is trying to get access to the account that you are using in order to deploy this form, and it needs the access over here. And since you are creating it, you know there is no one else out there who has created, you are not giving access to someone else, you should be okay to use this option. So I'm going to go ahead by clicking that advanced thing, and I'm going to say that go to user registration, even if it means unsafe. So I'm going to click on this. So now you can see a user registration form wants to access your Google account, and these are the permissions that it would allow: view and manage your forms in Google Drive, connect to an external service. So basically this is what the permission that you have to give. Please review it yourself. If you have any kind of security concern, feel free not to do it. Otherwise, this is the only way that I know, at least, how you can integrate your Google form back to any kind of webhook. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on allow over here. Right, so our trigger should be deployed. Now I'll come back to the editor. So our URL is also configured, it is ready to go. Let me just click on this run first. Cannot read the properties of undefined, reading, getting item responses, because no form has been submitted yet. Let's go ahead and start submitting our form and see what happens over here. So this was our form. I'm going to enter some details over here. Are you planning to attend an event engine? I'll say yes and click on submit. A response has been recorded. Now I'll go back over here and I'll click on run. So now the error has changed. You can see that request failed for this particular URL. This is the URL that we have configured as post URL, because this webhook is not in listening mode right now. So I'm going to go back now and go back to our canvas. So this is the webhook node, and what we are going to do is click on this listen for test events. Now this particular webhook at this URL is in listening mode. So now if I go back to my form and run it, then it should receive the event. So let's go back. Now let's click on run. So you can see execution started, execution completed. Now if I go back to the canvas, you can see the data as well. You can see your name John, your email Vic. Of course I messed it up. Are you planning to attend an event on GenAI? It says yes. Right now I showed you the execution from the code editor of our app script. However, what we will be doing in real time is people would be submitting those forms, right? So let's go ahead and submit it as I am a real user. So I'll open up a incognito window again. So this time I'll use Chrome, and I'll go back to the other window and copy the URL. So now I'll paste the URL. So you can see now the form is basically available, and I'll write my full name this time and the email. And are you planning to attend an event? This time I'll say yes again. Now before submitting, let me go back and just double verify if the event is still listening. So I'll go back to the workflow, and you can see it is not listening anymore. So I'll just go back to the canvas, open it, okay, and I'll click on start listening for the event. So now it is listening for the event. Now we'll come back to the form. So the name is filled, email is filled, we have selected the option as well. Now I'll click on submit. So user registration form submitted. Now let's go back and see what happened. All right, so the data has been received. You can see the new data has arrived over here. So now you can see as soon as someone submitted the form, in real time, the workflow has been triggered. So now what we can do is we can do whatever we want with the data that we have received. I'll go ahead and click on, let's suppose, if node. All right, are you sure you want like this one? So we are going to basically check the value of it is equals to, what is it, like yes, no. So if it's yes, we'll test it. So we submitted yes over here. You can see the value over here. It has compared it. It is true. So the true branch is showing us the result, and the false branch is not showing us the result. So for the true branch over here, we wanted to send a Slack message to our events team. And for the false branch, we wanted to send an email to our admin team. So for that, if I go to my Slack workspace, which is GenAI Unplugged, you can see I have created this new channel over here to receive the updates, and I have invited the n8n integration app to it. And if you don't know why I invited this app, go and check out my detailed video on Slack integration with n8n workspace, so that you have an understanding of how these two things operate or integrate with each other. So let's go back to our workflow, and I'll add a Slack node over here. In case it's true, we'll add a Slack node, and what we want is send message, right? So we'll search this, send message. We are going to select our credentials. I have already selected the OAuth credential over here. So we'll use that to send the message, because that is the most recommended way of doing it. Then we want to send message to a channel. Here we'll select a list of channel. We'll see, okay, events one. This was the one that we created, user registration, GAIU events, and the simple text message is what we want. So we'll say, let me make it bigger. All right, so over here, what we'll do is I'll just close it for now. And I'll click on this expression so that we can add the details of the user as well. Here are the user details. So I'll go over here and I'll put the curly braces. I'll say .json dot, as you can see in this JSON, it's the body where the data lies. So I'll click on the body and then dot, and you can see that your email and your name. So we'll say name, new user name. And similarly, we'll just copy this, paste it over here, new user email. So now if I just expand, and we are using the dot notation to access the body element, and then inside the body, we are referring to the key name, your name. And over here, you can preview the response of the message that our events team will get. Now let's go ahead and test this step. We'll test. So it says it's success. So let's go to our Slack workspace. All right. So you can see here events team. So whatever message we crafted, new username, new user email, they both have been sent to our events team so that they can take appropriate action. Now let's go back and complete our workflow by adding an email node over there. And I'll click on this false branch and I'll select the SES. As you know that I use the Amazon SES simple email service to send my email. So I'll continue to use that. I have already set up the credentials. We are going to work on the resource email. The operation would be send. We are not sending the HTML body. We'll just write. And the body would be, and I'll click on this expressions and I'll expand a bit. I have already copied, so I'll use this only and I'll paste this new user email. And I think at the bottom we have the email, your email. So because the previous node is not executed in false mode, that's why we are unable to see the preview, but that's how it will look like. So I'll just close it. I'll go back to Canvas. Thing wrong here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention where the email needs to be sent. So the configuration was not complete. So let me write that. No reply. And we also forgot to mention where to send the email. So let me add the email address as well where we need to send it. So that'll be. Now if I'll test it, so basically now it is waiting for more data to come over here. Now let's go back to Canvas. I'll click on save button so that everything is saved. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this test workflow and you would see the webhook starts listening. So now waiting for you to call the test URL. Now we'll go back to our form. So we had submitted it earlier. Now I'm going to submit another response. Right, and I'm going to attend an event or not. We have already used the yes one. This time I'll say no. I'll click on submit. All right, let's go back. So you can see that the workflow executed, but this time is executed towards the false node. I'll just open up the webhook node. You can see webhook listen to the event. This time we submitted this. The email was this, and I was not interested in GenAI event. So I'll go back now. Then the if condition was also now false. So it ran through the false branch and we went into the Amazon SES. So it would have sent an email out. Now let's go ahead and check if the email has arrived or not. So I'll open this and you can see that a new email has arrived. This is the details that are there that we configured in sending email node. Now that you understand how these essential nodes work in n8n and why these essential nodes are important, you are ready to deep dive into building much more smarter, much more complex, and above all, much more optimized business workflows starting from section 3 of this course, which is coming up next. So I'll see you over